Welcome, everyone, to episode number 80 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today, I welcomed a Michigan native. She's an artist. Her name is Myna. I believe I discovered Myna probably at the end of 2019, maybe the beginning. Actually, no, 2019. Probably 2020. Probably the end of 2020 into 2021. I reached out to her about being on the podcast. We were able to make that happen this week. This is probably one of my favorite interviews I've done in a while. This was just a very carefree, laid-back experience. Myna's a really cool person. She describes going into the process of making her latest EP called Indian Dragon with a couple close collaborators. She described the importance of, uplifting other people, especially as an independent artist, and I truly believe that's a huge thing and a huge sentiment and something that this platform was made for. Just keeping that sense of community going because we're all doing the same things, and it's really important to keep the positive energy up. She describes the types of live shows we can expect coming up from her. She's got a couple more collaborative projects coming out as well. Just a lot of cool material. She has some new music videos out. And she's just continuing to put that work in to see results. And, I'm just really happy that she was able to share some of her story today on this podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. So I'm going to quit rambling and let's get right into it. All right, welcome everyone to episode 80 of the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today we have a Michigan artist. She's just released a couple new music videos. She's fresh off the release of her Indian Dragon EP. Myna is here. How are you, Myna?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing, Anthony?
Doing great. Like I said, thank you for agreeing to be on the show this week. I'm glad to get you on
Of
here,
course.
get to know a little bit more about you. So to start every episode off, we kind of have the guest give a little bit of background, how you got into music, how long have you been doing it.
Right.
Basically, simple information for those that might not be familiar with you and what you do.
Yeah. So basically, I've been singing my whole life. Like, we could start off there. My mom put me through Indian classical singing when I was like 4 years old. And I never practiced, but I was always really good at singing. Like, it's always something I really love to do. I picked it up like a second language, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going through that. I did that for like 6 years, 7 years, and then I quit because my teacher was mean and kept calling me out for not practicing and stuff, and I was just tired of it. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah. No, it's...
Oh, yeah. So I was tired of that bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I quit. And then I started doing middle school choir, started doing high school choir. And I was always in like the advanced choirs. I always tested out or whatever, did the auditions and stuff. So singing's always been something I held as like a deep passion.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in high school, wasn't really a good kid. I got in trouble quite a bit for not doing homework and skipping, and I got suspended once for some bullshit. So I wasn't allowed to go back to my school, like after school and stuff. Like, I had to leave. Mm-hmm. Like, if they found me there after school, I had to they would call me my parents or whatever. Uh-huh. So I used to go to this after-school program in Ann Arbor called Neutral Zone. So they're basically like a teen rec center, and they provide all these art opportunities for basically teens to keep themselves busy after school. Mm-hmm. And so they had like a studio. They had a group of people that used to throw shows and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. So I was at Neutral Zone, and then I met a boy, and I really liked him. He used to rap a lot. And so he got me into recording myself, like using my voice on actual tracks. So as I got more involved with him, he kind of, I don't want to say took me under his wing, but, he wanted me to be as involved in music as he was. Mm. We were both juniors in high school, mind you. So this is all like some young people shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, whatever, young love, right? Madly in love, blah, blah, blah. I was with him for like 3 years. It wasn't the greatest relationship, I'm not gonna lie. It got kind of toxic towards the end, not to like put all our business out there. But yeah, we separated, and when we separated, that's when I kind of started taking the liberty of going to the studio myself and recording songs on my own. Mm-hmm. So because I've always kind of been a poet, but I've never been into writing real songs like overall. And it wasn't until I dropped my first album, Roy G. Biv, where I was like, wow, I could really do this. Like, I could really create a whole body of work around, my feelings, around my life, the people around me, you know what I mean? So it was kind of to prove to myself that yeah, I'm capable,
Mm.
and that gave me the confidence to keep pursuing it. So when I left that relationship, I was 19. Um, so that's when I kind of started my independent journey as like a independent, real R&B singer artist
Mm.
type vibe. And that's kind of what I've been writing ever since.
Yeah.
Been dropping projects since that time. 3 projects since that time. 3, 4 projects. Um, been doing shows in Detroit. Cause I stay in Ann Arbor, but Detroit is kind of where it's at to me in my eyes right now in
Mm.
terms of like the music scene. Cause there's just a lot happening, yo. It's like a new LA to me,
Mm.
in a sense. So I always respect that.
Yeah. It's really
Yeah.
cool. It's really cool to hear that, music has been around for you for pretty much your whole life almost. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's like your life has changed so much in the time, but music has kind of always stayed a constant for you. It seems like it seems like it's
Yes.
kind of evolving for you as the years go by, and you're just kind of getting in more of a comfort zone with what you want to do and how you want to, show people your talent and everything. So I think that's a super awesome.
Definitely.
Um,
Oh, definitely. I could never escape it. It felt
yeah.
like, because even again, like growing up in Ann Arbor, it's kind of the vibe there is kind of, go to University of Michigan or you're a dumbass. You know what I
Mm.
mean? You're a bum. You're a low life. You are not doing nothing with your life. And
Mm-hmm.
growing up in that environment, it was kind of hard for me to take that leap into being like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a singer. I'm gonna pave my own way. I was still trying to conform to that narrative. I'm still trying to be somebody's, going to school and taking that route with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know how I was gonna pursue music. While making it in high school, I was like, how is this gonna even be possible after I leave this bitch?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the persistency is key. Like I always knew that it was gonna be the way to to get my success. The only way, because it's one of the only things I truly feel like I'm great at.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have, and it's something I can never get tired of doing either. So it's just like I can't escape it. Why keep that suppressed and try to do what society wants you to do?
Mm-hmm.
When you can just explore what's there.
Yeah.
And taking that risk for me it's been a crazy ride, really. But I've loved every minute of it because it feels like true freedom.
Yeah.
To just be able to live free.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that 100% because I'm pretty much the same as you. I didn't even start music until out of high school. And when I started, I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of on the fence because I was like, I don't know if this is even going to work. And then I ended up going to
Yeah.
college for a bit, dropped out, and now I've just been trying
Mm-hmm.
this by myself because I'm like, no one's going to want this more for me than me. You know what I mean? So you really got to,
Exactly.
at the end of the day, if you care about it that much, you have to make it happen. So, whatever path you
Exactly.
decide to choose, as long as that's what works for you, that's all that matters, and you can make it work. It's just like what
And
you said. It's
yeah.
just keeping your nose down and just staying hard at work and just getting better every day. So,
And see, and trust me, I wanted to do what my parents, wanted for me. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like deep down in my heart, I wanted to make them happy, and do the whole go to med school, because I'm Indian. Also, I don't know if I mentioned that, but
Yeah.
I'm an Indian, living in America and
Mm-hmm.
for first generation. So it's like my parents just had like a particular expectation of me,
Mm-hmm.
growing up here and stuff, having me raised here. So as much as I wanted to do that, it's like at the end of the day, I also dropped out of college. Like I couldn't even last more than a semester and a half. Like I just kept smoking a lot of weed and I just wouldn't go to school. Like it was just the same thing from high school. It's
Yeah.
like nothing changed.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, if I'm still doing the same thing and I'm still getting the same results, like there must be some disconnect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Definitely.
for me,
And you got to find
definitely,
you always got to find what's for you. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people are
exactly,
going to try to tell you certain things and which way to go, but you got to ask yourself what is right for me now? Where am I heading?
exactly,
Where do I want to go? And just go for it.
exactly,
Don't be afraid because, you don't
exactly.
want to look back and be like, man, I wish I would have done this, this, and this. You
I'd
want to
be
be like,
damned,
yeah, you want to be
so I
like, I did it.
can't.
Yeah. So
Yep,
that,
exactly.
that's awesome. So you just released this EP, Indian Dragon. Talk to me
Yep,
about,
yep.
the process behind creating that. Was it different from past projects? Was there more time taken on the writing? Like, how did this one come
Yeah.
together?
So Indian Dragon. So first of all, it's okay. This is a crazy story. So the dude I mentioned that I was dating in high school. So he used to, drop projects and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be involved with Neutral Zone, and that they used to have a team that used to throw shows and stuff. I used to be a part of that team. And so I actually threw an album release party for this boy back then.
Mm.
And basically at this show, that's where I met my current partner, my current business partner that I'm like working on stuff with now, that produced Indian Dragon. He came to that show 4 years ago. And that's like kind of how we met each other and how we meet each other. Um, and then 4 years later, I seen him at another show. Shout out to Kitty Kush. And it was like a little summer pool party type event. And I reconnected with him, and then we started linking up. And basically, we developed like a very deep artistic bond. So basically, the music was gonna come out inevitably between us, because he produced all the records on Indian Dragon. And the name came up because we was smoking, or we smoke, and I smoke a lot. It takes me a smoke to get high, so he calls me the Indian Dragon. So that's kind of like how the name. It's all kind of an organic process.
Yeah.
And Kevin Bailey, he's the dude, the mastermind behind basically all the instrumentals. And I don't know, his particular sound, unlike, I don't know, more than other producers, I feel like it just hits me in a particular way where it's just so easy for me to flow and write and think about, what I'm feeling in that moment. He just has those beats that just take me there, So even just picking the beats out was just such a seamless process. It was literally like, we basically picked the song in order, or picked all the songs in album order, like backwards. Like, how did we plan that? It just kind of happens like that. Yeah. The whole process, I would say, was maybe 2 to 3 months of just picking the songs and then writing them. I wrote the majority of the album. He did help me with a little writing on the first song on the project, which is called Right Moves, which he's also featured on, which is really, really dope. The entire album basically explores like my current conscious musings, about where it's kind of a continuation of my last few projects of like self-reflection, introspection, because that's kind of like where my music pulls from, because I feel like if people can hear my experience, they'll be able to relate to it in some way, to be able to be like, oh yeah, I could feel where she's coming from. I felt that too. Or, okay, this is similar to my story, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, it talks about making the right moves. It talks about believing in yourself. It talks about not letting people like run you out your money. Really being in love. Just really, it goes into like these primal human experiences that we currently face in these current times. And as a human, I just feel like I have to document that in one of the best ways I know I can, which is music. So it's one of my favorite projects right now.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
And that's so cool to have like a close collaborator too that kind of helped you on that journey and kind of bring that to life, because that's always the best thing, is when there's someone by your side there too, to be like, hey, is this like as good as we think it is? Be like, yeah, this is great. Like, what we're making is great. People are going to love this. And everything.
Oh yeah, Kevin is definitely like a huge blessing in my life, like, for sure. Like, and we're partners through the end, yo. Like, we'll always be there for each other to bounce off ideas and to kind of come up with the next move, to kind of expand the scene for what it is, because we both see it, and we're both on that level. So it's just, I just appreciate everything that he does for me, honestly, and everything we do for each other. So it's cool. We're both like independent artists, but we do it together,
Yeah, that's always the end goal right there. So you mentioned Right Moves. I know you just dropped the visual for that. I think you might have dropped another one too. So like, how did those videos come together? Who was helping you kind of film those and put those together? And what was kind of like your goal for bringing the songs to life visually?
Oh yeah, of course. So Right Moves, I couldn't tell you what it was, but one day I just got hit with like the inspiration of basketball, like just making the right moves in basketball. And I just started seeing images of like slow-mo shots of like dunks being made, I actually originally saw the video in black and white, but we ended up going with color, and I'm actually very happy that we went with color. And yeah, we had this idea. We've been marinating on it since like August. We bought our own camera this year in April, because we, intend to, our whole thing is, we're not going to wait on people to put our visions together. We're artists, and we are going to take the responsibility to kind of curate and paint the picture how we feel we should, and this is the best of our caliber. And we have experience with video editing. We have experience with filmography and stuff like that, so for us, it's very second nature for us to, go out there and like make our vision come alive. For Right Moves in particular, shout out to Rue Anarchy. He was one of the basketball players in the visual, as well as his friend Ant. And shout out to my girl Rena. Rena Dope. She's a dope ass. I want to call her an entrepreneur, but she's overall just a great human out in the Detroit scene, just connecting with everybody. Always just willing to give a helping hand, and she's really dope with the visual stuff as well. So she was actually able to help us shoot the video because Kevin and I shoot each other's videos, so it's hard for us to get a video of both of us in the same shot.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, really dope of her to kind of step in and like play that role. Yeah, like the editing process was very tedious for me. Like I felt like I was going insane getting all the specific shots like in sequence. But that's one of my favorite parts of the editing. I feel like for me personally, I love editing videos. It's one of my second passions. So Right Moves was definitely like a very special project for me. Like definitely. And I'm very proud of how it came out. I think like overall the vision came through like beautifully, and it's a beautiful song. Yeah. I love it. The message is strong, yeah.
Yeah, I actually got to sit down a couple of days and finally watch the full video on YouTube because I saw like your Instagram clip of it, but I never got to sit and watch the full thing. And I was like, this is very
How do you like it?
It was very well done. I enjoyed it, honestly. I thought like the editing was perfect. The shots were great. I was like, this seems like a real professional like video for the song and everything.
See, and it's literally just 3 people. It was 3 people involved in the production of that. It wasn't a huge like team of people. It was literally like 3 individuals, like 3 artists.
Well, great job on it. And I like what you said about taking the initiative yourselves. Like, you guys aren't going to sit and wait for someone to come and help you out. You're just going to get the job done. So I think that's amazing.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yep. And you was asking about Sleepwalking too.
Is that the other
song?
On
that a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I saw that one. Is it out then?
Yep, that's out.
Okay.
Yep, right now.
So you guys did that one too then?
Say it again.
Did you guys do that one too?
Yep.
Nice.
That was me and Kevin. That was mostly, I'm gonna give Kevin most of the credit for that one because he was the one that really like captured the essence of the video. So I know you haven't seen it yet, but basically it's a one shot. The entire video is just one shot, a continuous motion. Oh, okay. No cuts or anything like that. So it's very organic.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, very sweet. And just everybody that came together and got involved, like, it just seemed like it was very last minute, but it came together like magic. Like, literally, everybody was just on cue. Everybody just kind of moved together, knew what they was on, no confusion. And, yeah, the editing was easy. We basically literally just put the video on top of the music and was like, all right, we're good. Yeah. Added the title and called it a day. Yeah, that video is very special. That was very... I guess a representation of what happens when you just let things unravel in the moment, like unfiltered and untampered, So it's a very delicate, precious song. So the video just absolutely does it justice. I'm very happy with that video as well. Yeah. And that's all Kevin. So yeah.
Yeah. See, I've never been involved in like the music video thing with music, but I can imagine that it's a lot like this, just like the storyboarding and coming up with like a plan is probably very like stressful. So I think what you said about not overthinking it, that's probably very important to just be like, whatever kind of happens, as long as it looks good and we all collectively agree that nothing in this is terrible. Like, we're just going to go with the flow, you know what I mean? Just see what happens.
Exactly. I mean, unless you're trying to bring, like, a backstory, like, or what am I trying to say? Unless you're trying to allow a backstory to paint the song for you, I feel like songs are just vibes.
Yeah.
A song is meant to be enjoyed and listened to. And when you have a visual that perfectly kind of lines up with that vibe without doing too much, without making you think about, like, look at this person doing this, interacting with this person, and all the theatrics, right? Yeah. Like, it's not about all that. They're popping out with like $2 million music videos right now in the industry, right? And it's like, that's cool, that's great. Like, all the graphics are tight, but it's like, what am I really feeling for the song? You know what I mean? Like, are you just showing that you have a huge budget to do all these cool things with? Or are you bringing the song to life? You know what I mean? Exactly. So we do the most that we can with the little that we have, like our camera was only $600 split between us, 300. So, we do what we can to kind of make it look like we spent way more. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to keep that feeling alive in this, because it's just like what you said. It's like you're really just bringing that visual representation of whatever song you're doing to people
Simply.
as you saw it probably when you were making it or how you view it now that it's out. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's really not that big of a deal as a lot of people kind of put it. But
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. It just makes me laugh sometimes. Like, 'cause I could appreciate it, but I'm like, dang, it could have just been way more simple. Like, I appreciate the simple shit.
yeah.
But I guess that's like my preference. That's me, who I am as a person.
Yeah, I feel
And
I
stuff
feel
like
that
that.
though all the way. I see exactly what you're saying. Believe me, especially just seeing
Yeah.
stuff on like social media and everything, and just it's like I just if I see something like that, I'm just like this probably isn't even making me like the song more. It's probably maybe making me like hate the song now because I don't like the
Mhm.
visual. But yeah, I feel that
No,
exactly.
exactly, exactly. Because then it's just too much, and then it's like, all right, like now the song is just blah to me. Because now I
Mhm.
get this image of like a mediocre video that didn't do much for me.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
then it ruins it. It's like,
Yeah.
dang.
So
It's like a souffle.
yeah, great analogy. Great analogy. So obviously you're in Michigan right now. You're a few years into this current journey as a solo artist and everything. So
Yeah.
how do you think the scene? I know you mentioned Detroit. Let's just use that as an
Mhm.
example. Like, what is the scene like for someone trying to do what you're doing right now and trying to be an independent artist? Has there been any like real challenges to kind of break through and find your own lane, or have you not really noticed
Honest,
anything like that? Or
honestly, the biggest challenge right now is just people trying to take advantage of artists like me
uh-huh.
that are being independent, that are putting themselves out there because they just want their money.
Mm-hmm.
They just want our money, and then they want to sell us a dream of like what they could do for us. And
Yep.
but then they don't end up doing anything. Like, it's like I'm not gonna put names out there for like particular people that do this in our city, but it's like, come on, man. Like, how are you repping the same people for the last 4, 5, 6 years and nothing's changed?
Yeah.
Nobody's blown up. No one's like giving back to people like that are like to people like us. No one's even broken the barrier. So it's like, what are we doing wrong? And I think part of it is there's no honest communication between the business people that want to put people on and the artists that want to put themselves on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there isn't any transparency because it just seems like people are just trying to get off
Mm-hmm.
on people. So I think it just needs to start there. Because there's always shows popping out. Like, there's always an opportunity to perform in Detroit. Like, no matter, like, no excuse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're looking for it, it's there for you. But to be able to have it all make sense. Like, in a conclusion, a summary of it all. Like, to come up with that, it takes somebody to be able to observe the scene for what it is and to just and to shine a light on it. To be able to shine a light on that
Mm-hmm.
without I guess exploiting people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think that's Detroit's biggest challenge, which me and my partner, we try and combat by providing an interview show to showcase artists, to give them a voice, a platform to talk about themselves, to make them feel important, 'cause it's our story. Like, it's a new Motown unfolding before our eyes, and we're like the new main characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people need to, understand that role and understand their worth so we can come up with our own way to create an industry that supports one another
Yeah.
instead of tearing each other down and making riches off of people
Yeah. Exactly.
and stuff like that.
I feel that though,
Yeah.
because like it's definitely not just in Detroit either, because this type of thing is happening really everywhere, and especially on social media, it's happening where you see like these people will just try and find up and coming artists and up and coming producers and people, and just be like try and scam them out of however amount of money or whatever, and do all this stuff. And
Right.
it's just like it just sucks to see, because if you're
Mhm.
someone that's really like hungry, but you're also unaware of people like that, you might get taken advantage of, and you're just like, if you're
Absolutely.
sitting
And
from
then
the
is that gonna make you want to make
yeah,
music? No,
no, yeah,
absolutely not. Like,
yeah, and it's
you
like
know.
I really feel bad for those people too that just they want to do it so bad, but they're just so ignorant to that, and it's like, God, if only they knew like what they were getting into. But it just
Yeah.
I love what you said though about like, because here's how I view it: it's like as independent artists, we should be looking out for the other independent artists and the other people like us. It's like, why would you ever want to tear anyone down that's trying to do what you're doing, especially when you know how hard it is, because we know
Exactly.
how hard this really is. So it's like
Oh
we
my
need that
God.
sense of community, you know what I mean? No matter where you
Exactly
are, it's
not.
like we got to build people up, man. We got to give the good energy. We got to stop this
Oh,
negative. Shit.
Exactly.
Oh.
Nah, preach. That's exactly what it's about. It's like people really be on demon time, like acting like they'll give you the acknowledgement to your face, but then not want to share your music like outside of that interaction, or not want to listen to your stuff outside of that interaction. It's like, how do you expect anybody to get on if we're not doing the basic necessities,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I'm only 5 years into doing this now, but I think each year
Okay.
that I've been doing it, I'm realizing more and more that that's really a responsibility to really just help the
Absolutely.
next people that are coming up behind us, help the people that are ahead of us where we can, take advice from them, just really help anyone we can help, and just
Hmm.
like you said, lift people up and do our
Yes,
part. So I love that. That's
absolutely.
super awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
yeah.
You're awesome.
Thank you. So I know that just from hearing a lot of your songs in the past, I know that I feel like you probably draw on a lot of different influences musically. Like you got a little bit of hip hop, you got a little bit of R&B in there, you got a little alternative in there. So I'm curious to know like who for you are some big influences when you were growing up, maybe now, some artists that are some of your
Mm.
favorites. I know there's probably a lot, but if you could just name like three or four that are some of the main ones that have been in rotation the last few years.
Oh my God, you put me on the spot, like, because there's so many. I would say, as a child, Rihanna is like a huge like influence on me,
Mm,
like in terms of the voice style,
yeah.
in terms of like her swag, her fashion, just all of that. Like Rihanna was definitely the one. I used to watch her music videos on MTV Jams in the morning, like before my parents would be up, because they didn't actually allow me to watch that. But like all the music videos, yeah, I used to watch it. Like Rude Boy, Hard, like oh my God, like those records to me. Like I think like me currently as an artist, I'm trying to pull from that sound, that 2000s era of
Yeah.
just like crunk pop music. Like that just, it had that perfect infusion of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It had that perfect grunge. Like it was just, oh my God, like that feeling to me is like it just takes me back to the 2000s. Like I know people be about the 90s and blah blah blah. But I'm like, I was born in 99, so the 2000s is really my era.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Even though I got that 90s tag on me, like the 2000s really like where I opened my eyes in the world, like
Yep.
literally. Oh my God, who else? Who else is like Janae Aiko has always been huge. Just inspirational point for me, because I used to have like a little iPod Touch or whatever, and there was like a point where me and my mom was like sleeping on a couch or whatever. It's not that deep of a story, but yeah, that's what happened at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And I used to listen to Pandora Radio, like the free stations, and I used to try. And that was like the first time I ever heard like mainstream music, and I was like 10 years old. And I'm like discovering like Janae, Jeremiah, Trey Songs, like like all these different like I'll even put out like colored artists, like black artists. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put it out there because that's really where where I draw, like where I'm drawn towards, because
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of Indian artists, doing that type of sound. Like MIA did her thing, and she's actually the same type of Indian as I am. Thomo, she's a Thomo woman. But still, it's hard to find. That she was the only one I had, though. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like that's the only idol figure I had for like a brown girl. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like doing shit. And even with her, it's like they treated her like shit. They like banned her from the country and all this bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm already not getting like the best impression of like how Indian artists are going to be treated. So I always just look towards black artists, because I feel like the 2000s and the 10s were kind of, it was a great time for black music to thrive and kind of spread like wildfire through like the growth of social media. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like and just like I don't know. I really feel like black music set the standard for what's relevant, yo. Like they made this shit, dog. Like it's really like insane to think about, but it's true. Like, and I'll always give my props. Like I will always give my props to black artists, black musicians, like all black everything, because that's where it comes from. So yeah, I'm inspired by all that. Childish Gambino's another one too.
Mm-hmm. That's that Pandora reference. That's a super throwback for me because I remember getting my first iPhone. I think like 2011, and I literally downloaded that app and just went through and created a million stations and just discovered
Oh
so
wow.
much music because this was before Spotify, before Apple
Yeah, this was
Music.
before Spotify.
So like
Yep,
Pandora was like the first one because it was internet radio and you could make your own stations and everything. And I think Pandora is still around. I just don't use it because
it is.
obsolete now, but like back
It is
then,
now. It's so
yeah.
funny. That is
Back
funny.
then
Yep.
it was like Spotify before Spotify, and now I use Spotify, and I'm like, honestly, Spotify kind of took a lot of Pandora's blueprint and kind of made that their thing, where it's like
Yeah.
you'll discover an artist, and then from that you'll discover a few more artists, and
Yep.
it's kind of different, but it's kind of the same in a lot of ways. And I'm like, Pandora was
Yeah.
really like slept on back in like 2010, 2011, but
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
Nah, that's all. Like that's all I could use because it was free.
yeah, it was
Like
free.
what?
Yep,
Of course, I'm gonna play music on a free station. Like,
yeah.
but you only was able to skip a certain amount of times. I used to be so annoyed by that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, oh, I
I
gotta
think
restart the app.
each channel was like 3 skips, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And then you had to wait like an hour, like 2 hours to get the
Yeah,
skips
I
back.
used to try and like restart my phone and try and hack it. Like, no, I'm gonna get these plays. Like,
It's funny
nah.
because I think if I downloaded it today, I still could use my old email and get in because I think I know the password. Like I think I know my password, I could get in, and I'm curious to see like what it looks like because there's probably stuff on there that I don't even listen to anymore. But I had at least 50 different channels on there, so that's hilarious.
Oh my god, no, that's literally me. That was literally me. Like I had a Drake station, a Janae station, a Jeremiah. If I found a song that I liked, it would be like, I don't know, a Pocket Full of Sunshine station, you know, like shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's crazy though, because I know exactly what you're talking about like 2008, 2009, 2010. It's like I felt like looking back on it now, it's like that was really diverse in music. There's a lot of diversity in the styles that were being played on the radio, that
So
were being
true.
on TV and everything. It's almost like now,
So
like
true.
now. Here's I'm not saying there's no diversity now, but I'm saying it's like I feel like people were taking a lot more risks back then, and like
Absolutely.
people
Creatively, of
were
course.
just presenting themselves. They didn't really care like how they were doing it, and I don't know. It just felt like a different time than it does now. It's kind of weird to
Absolutely.
explain unless you were kind of living through it. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
a super throwback for me because that's kind of like the same type of era that I came from as well. So that's super
Mhm.
cool.
That's cool as fuck. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So
Nah, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever, given much thought to this question, but I've been asking this the last few weeks to different guests. What do you think, when it's all said and done, you would want your lasting impact to be? Like when someone hears one of your songs, one of your albums, maybe they're just a fan of you in general. What do you think you want to leave people with? Like some overlying message that would be probably your lasting impact in music?
You know what? I want people to grasp, like, damn, this bitch is really tapped in. Like, because the stuff I talk about is very deep. You know what I mean? It's very, like, I feel like, and it's funny. There was one year where, Spotify for artists, it'll tell you, like, how many listeners you have and, like, what times they listen to your stuff and stuff like that. They do those little quirky things for artists. One year, it told me that the majority of my listeners listen to my music between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it's like they listen to it as they're falling asleep, or when they're up late at night.
Yeah.
So to me, that tells me like it speaks to like a certain level of consciousness that you will appreciate if you hear the album like by yourself, like full, like with the lights off. Like you remember when Childish Gambino came out with that project, like me and your mama or something like that.
I think so.
Or no, it was like Awaken My Love. It was called Awaken My Love.
Yeah. A few years ago,
And
I think.
Yep. And he basically, the way he marketed the album, he told everybody like, you got to gather a bunch of people and listen to this album in the dark, like with all the lights off, no lights, like just listen to it like that. And I think that's the type of experience I want to give to my listeners. Like, I want people to feel like they learned something from me. I'm a very philosophical, deep thinker. I like to tread the waters, like, very deep. I like to talk about very, some may consider it mundane topics, but to me, it's like, it's present and relevant, to acknowledge how you feel in the moment. And to know the power that you have, at any given moment. Yeah. So that's kind of what I want to remind people with my music, is that I'm living a human experience, but I know my worth, and I know what I'm capable of. And I didn't even know what I was capable of until I was actively proving it to myself. And I feel like people don't even get to that point of wanting to prove shit to themselves, Yeah. So hopefully, my music inspires them to kind of look deep and what do you want out of life, because what I want is like I'm fighting for this shit, and you're witnessing like a warrior's arc of someone like fighting to live their life, and not fall under the societal pressures, the parental cultural pressures of nothing. I'm a
Yeah.
free woman. Fuck that, I'm a free human. So, and I just happen to live in like a very weird militarized country.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to this country, but yeah, like, so yeah. And I also happen to be born in a time where the global economy is like just getting all twisted. Like, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to inspire people to just look past one another,
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
out what everybody wants and just live.
Yeah.
Let's live. That was a loaded answer.
No,
But
that was
yeah,
great.
like,
It was very detailed. That just goes to show that you really are passionate about what you're doing and you actually care. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of
thank
people, it's
you.
like they just kind of go into music and they do this and they're just like, I don't really know like what I'm trying to do or what the end goal is
Right.
or whatever. It's just like I can tell that you actually legitimately love what you're doing and you're actually trying to affect people in a positive way, which at the end of the day, that's really all you can do. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I just want to spread the positive vibes.
Hmm.
I want to teach people about themselves, teach people how to live, in a way that doesn't impose myself to be like, oh, I'm right.
Yeah.
It's just sharing my thoughts, sharing my view,
Hmm.
which I feel like could positively, enrich other people's perspectives as well, because it doesn't take away from them.
Hmm.
It just kind of enhances it
Yeah.
in a way.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
speaking of positive vibes and everything and keeping that going, what, if anything, do you have any more music before the end of the year? Maybe at the top of the year you have planned? Do you have any more visuals planned? Like, what can we expect as kind of your next
Ooh.
move?
Ooh. So I've been kind of directing my attention towards throwing shows, throwing more events and stuff like that,
Mm.
being a part of that community. And because I feel like once we solidify those platforms, it's gonna make sense. Whatever move I make next, it's gonna make sense for people to be like, oh yeah, this next move she's gonna make, we gotta be behind her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. So setting up that platform really is my next goal. I may have a little collab project coming out this year at the end of the year. Little secret, little secret. We still figuring out the rollout for that as well. But that, might be on the lookout for that. Um, I got another project I'm working on with Swoozy Dolphin. He's a producer out in Detroit. He makes a lot of like alternative surf. I don't know what you call it, like trap music. Like, he uses the auto tune style, but to me, it's very artistic.
Mm.
Like, it reminds me of SoundCloud era, but a little more modernized. I feel like for my taste. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's all those songs are freestyles. So, which I don't normally dabble into, but recently I've been feeling more comfortable doing it. So hopefully when I get some time to spend some time with him, we
Mm-hmm.
can flesh out those tracks and then we can go from there and see how we're gonna market that. And yeah, the cycle continues,
Yeah.
create a project, roll it out, repeat, like
Yeah.
see what works, see what doesn't work, invest here, see what comes out there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, yeah, it's all just a little experiment,
Yeah.
all a big experiment.
Well, anyone with dolphin in their name, I'm gonna have to give that a listen because now I'm intrigued.
Oh
Like,
no, he's dope. He is very sweet, and he's also one of those producers that diligently works with other artists as well, and continuously puts out projects featuring artists around our city, and
yep.
just so he's one of those ones I definitely see myself aligning with and doing more work with.
Nice. Super awesome.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
last few questions here. These are questions that I give every guest. So, to start, if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
Oh my God. Okay, so 10 years ago, I was 12. I was very emo. I was in middle school. I was so depressed. Damn.
Mm.
Okay. I would tell myself, what would I tell myself? um, Stop being a weirdo, bitch. It's like, nah, no. I would tell myself to not worry so much about trying to fit in. Because I was always the kid that would kind of float between groups and not like feel like I had a group to call my own. You know, I always felt like I was just like a loner in that sense. And I didn't feel confident in my speaking, like to speak on something. I wasn't very confident. I always was like the listener, I guess, and I didn't speak up for myself in times where I should have. Yeah, I would tell myself to practice talking. That's what I would tell myself. Practice speaking, practice confidence, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably
and
the
I would have
weirdest.
told myself to write too.
Yeah, that's probably like the weirdest time too of life, because I look back on middle school and I'm just like, I cringe at everything. I'm just like, oh God,
Man,
it's
what?
just bad.
I used to wear like oversized black hoodies and jeans. Like I was like a mess, bro. And my hair was like always like the same. Like, and I wore like, crazy.
What a time to be alive when you're like 12, 13. It's not great, but
it's not great actually. It's the worst actually. I'm not going back.
Yeah. So if we flip that then and we say 10 years from right now, where do you think you want to be in your career and your life?
Oh Jesus. Okay, 32. Ooh, I'm gonna be a bad bitch. I'm gonna have some properties. I wanna own my record label. I wanna really like own that shit. I wanna be band records, you know, executive. Probably still making music. We'll see. I want to go into comedy too because I feel like I'm mad funny. And I always wanted to just go on stage and talk shit, like not be on no bullshit. You know, cuss and everything. I want to explore all facets of art. So by 32, I hope I'll be very versed in the world. You know, very experienced. Shit. Yeah.
You might have Rihanna type money by then as well.
Man, I'm praying. Look, I'm manifesting that. Okay, like billionaire type vibes. Yeah. I'm trying to be on that too. I want to be able to take care of my family. I have huge, big projects to like help the earth and stuff. So I want to be able to fund those like as well. Mm-hmm. So hopefully at 32, I'll be in a position to do that. Like, so yeah.
So do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
Oh my God, wisdom. Oh my God, I'm like so full of wisdom. It almost feels like I don't have nothing at all.
Gave it all away.
I know it all. No. My last words of wisdom is just do you. The day you was born was the day you was put here to do something. You feel me? Like whether you chose to be here or not, I certainly didn't choose to be here, and sometimes I fucking hate it. You know, I hate being on Earth sometimes, and it's a real feeling we all feel. But at the end of the day, I'm digging deep to figure out why I'm here, you know? I'm digging deep to find those answers that, honestly, religion is not going to give me those answers, you know? A spiritual leader is not going to give me those answers. The wisest monk on earth is not going to give me those answers. It's going to be me because I'm living in my body. You're living in your body. We're experiencing our perspectives to our fullest extent. So we got to dedicate our lives to figuring that out for ourselves, you know? And while we have all our family and friends around us to support us on our journey, we support them in return so we can all just have a collective understanding of what's real and what's going on in the world and what's going to be best for everybody. So, yeah, just know when you're working for yourself, you're working for everybody, and that's just the law. That's the universe, and that's my drops of wisdom.
Well, I love that. Great way to end it. Myna, that's all I have for you today. This was a blast. I enjoyed this a lot. We're going to have to do part two. We're going to have to do a part two very soon.
Yes, part two. Let's do it.
You're like one
and you got to interview Kevin too. Definitely.
Yeah, for real. And you're like one state away from me. You know that, right? Like you are.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio.
Oh yeah. We're technically rivals, but I don't care. I don't subscribe to that. We're family.
I don't care about Ohio State. None of that crap. I don't care about that. Forget that. But part two we might have to do in person because this is great.
Facts.
Yeah.
No, I'm down. I'll take the drive or the Uber or whatever.
Yeah. But thank you once again. I'm looking forward to all the music you got coming out, all the visuals, the concerts and everything. And keep doing what you're doing. You're putting out great energy, great music, and you're doing all the right things, so I think it's only going to get better from here.
Man, thank you. Thank you for the words, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, guys, for listening today. That was episode 80. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. Feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. So we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.